we're gonna make this fit that 3/4 to 1 inch. All right, here's what we're working on today. This is our custom built race bike.
What year is it?
2015.
No, it's an 86 to 80, not 90 Sportster EVO 4-speed.
That's the motor.
That's what it is. And we can deal with this piece of crap.
Well, today we're going to make this brake fit.
We're going dirt track racing with it. You want to tell them what you know.
Well, obviously we're dirt track racing with it.
Not yet, because we haven't told them. Okay, now let's get the bracket.
Okay. We got to get a pole and a hole. Okay, we're going to weld that hole shut and then drill another one.
Now we're going to add the distance here so it's flush, so since it gets the swing arm flush. We're going to weld that gap up right there so when you tighten this down against the swing arm, it doesn't do that.
And then we're going to make the hole bigger.
Then we'll make the hole bigger. First we're going to fill the hole in. Not fill in, we're going to fill a little area up on top. So we're going to take this. That does require heat.
Okay.
And noise.
This ain't fucking right.
Okay, there's your low spots, no longer low. A little warm. Yeah. How long did that take so far?
About 8 minutes.
How long did it take to make that washer? What you gonna do? We're gonna turn the switch on. You make sure it's going the right direction, which is this direction, not this direction. Then you gotta set the gauge up here to what RPM you want to run at.
Fast or slow.
And then you take this wheel right over here, and you crank it up and you start cutting.
And you chop shit off.
And then you go like this and it moves.
Automatic.
Feed it back and forth until you hit. Now if you see red, that means you got more to go. If the red
That's
disappears, you're too deep. So you want to where it just fogs off across that, because this is going to be flat against your swing arm. So if you cut it too deep, I got to weld it back up.
Gotcha.
So don't do that.
Okay.
So now, crank up speed a little bit. Crank this up until you hit. Hear it hitting? I hear something hit. And it's hitting. You go to the dial right here. Give yourself about 20. Hit that. Go like that. You gotta make sure you shut it off before you go on it.
What does he want me to do here? I'm just gonna go ahead and one-handed. What's up, Tatro? So go down 20 more thousandths, that's what he's saying? Oh, this is hard with one hand. And we're going.
Yeah, look at that. You see what you're screwing up.
We're live.
Hit it.
Okay.
Good job.
Okay, so
I ain't no crashing yet.
not yet.
You check the height for your little thing there?
Yep.
Use the crank wheel and do that.
Well, okay.
That way if you hit something, then boom, bangs into it. How much more you gotta go? You got more than 15, so you get another 15 shot.
That's right.
Make sure you pull it off before you do that though.
Okay, so.
It's easy best to turn it on just in case you're hitting.
Well, that's.
15. right now.
So I want to go 75?
You go 75.
Okay. All right, we're getting into the danger zone. We're just gonna go for it.
Machinery. This is light duty machinery. It's just more than your file and your little do-all grinder. Okay, so you're close. You're actually only about 2 or 3 thou up. So, but this surface is still higher than this because the cutter is going way over to here.
Gotcha.
Okay, now we can come back over here. Now I'm here and do it closer. the way you do that is you cut it and you sneak up on it. So you're sneaking up on it there. Okay, so I was at 3 thou past. And I actually snuck up a little bit more than I wanted to. So I'll come back on that a little bit. Okay, so now I'm at 0. Over here. So we're going to cut back at 1 thou more, which is right there. See what 1 thou is doing for us?
Yep.
And I brought in the other side there a little bit. So now you don't have that lip you can feel. But you can see how the warpness of the plate is after welding. It warps things. So, but you're not going to worry about that because I doubt if your swing arm is that straight. Now if I go 1 more thou down, I'll be cutting full all the way across.
Now, do you want to do that or no?
Are you filming here or over here?
The whole thing.
Good. Okay. No, I don't want to do that. I want to cut the flush. So now this is done. That part's done. Now we have to go in here and bore out this hole. And then we'll just hand grind this to whatever you want. And look at that crappy welder. Who welded that? See that porosity right to get a close up of that defect. Who did that? That is one crappy ass welder.
Jeez, it's a good camera though.
We're gonna fire that guy. Okay, let me swap cutters. Get on my way. You don't need to film me swapping cutters. Okay, now the problem with this is we got that weld turd down there that somebody got too much heat involved. All right. What a beeping noise.
That is fucking technology.
Is that a phone of some type?
I'm controlling the dial bore indicator with my phone.
So it's like a wireless operation.
Yep.
All right. Zero this out so I know where I'm at. Give ourselves 10 thou. 10 was too much. 8. Now we don't have to be this close, but some people around here are pickier than others. We don't know anybody like that around here, do we?
Nope.
What am I hitting on down here?
Probably a weld that a little bead of aluminum snot that tripped down into that hole that so graciously dumped there.
No, I should be on the clean side, but it's definitely. What we got on this side now? So you didn't take the 10 minutes of just doing it. It was going to be a high quality video, so you edited it out. Okay, good. Okay, if you see the dial over there, see it's kind of almost at 0 or a little above 0.
Mm-hmm.
And as you rotate it, see it kind of stays about the same. You have to get on the side to see the other side. So that means we are now on center. So it goes over there with the now. Okay, so once we're on center, now we can go ahead and put our boring bar in there, bore this hole out. And see I zeroed out my indicator up there too. Pretty good, huh? Now I can also use a reamer, but the problem with the reamer is it's with a big turd over here, it's going to shove it to one side.
You move faster than a...
Faster than a speeding bullet.
Yeah, look at that thing.
So you see how it goes in and out as you turn that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty good, huh?
Yep.
Okay, so if we go to somewhere like that where it's past the 0 point, that means it won't drag on the backside when we bore it. And we're going to punch that thing right through there. And we got to set our stop right here, so we're going to set our stop for about that far down, that'll be enough. Now we want to make sure we don't go too fast. That's fast enough. We're going to go in the wrong direction. Oh, 15's fine. Okay, one turd is gone. So now we can ream it if you want. That's a reamer.
Why wouldn't we punch it out first before?
Or I can
reaming?
just continue like I'm going with a boring bar. Guess which one's quicker?
Boring bar.
Now that it's all set up, the boring bar. Okay, now this is 100 per revolution. So that was 50. That's 100. So we want to sneak up on it. That's a sneak up. You like how I snuck up on that?
It didn't go all the way through, did it?
Yeah, it's all the way through. Okay, see now we're at about 840 right now. So we can do one more sneak up. Hear all that noise?
Yeah.
When you weld belted aluminum, it makes a gumbo. So I don't like cutting. Okay, so now we know what we got. So we take our scale, we measure it. We're about 965. So you're going to measure it with us. I can't get into a square, but it's 952 at least. I was at an angle, so I couldn't really measure it. Look up, a little bit lower. You can measure it now with this. Okay. So we're just going to give ourselves a 10 thou. Try to clean up some of that gumbo we got going on there. So you get a little bit better finish with oil and not a 100 thou pass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we are at 963. Come over and read with this. See numbers?
Getting close.
So what number are we at with this? You have to use this piece right here to look at that.
Yeah, I can't. There you go.
See, it's pretty close at 963 number, isn't it? That's how I can measure. We're close with this.
I can't see the 63, but I can see the 96.
Yeah, well, that's close enough. If it doesn't go to 3, we have to guess. It only
Right.
goes to 10,000, so you have to guess the rest. Okay, so maybe we can get us 20. Then we have to go get your axle, make sure it's actually a 1-inch axle. Always make sure you stop that before you put your fingers down here. Okay, we're 982. So we need another 20 more. Let's put us at what?
Should we measure the axle now? Before we go all the way out.
I like going all the way out there.
If you built the flat track,
So that's 19 more
Yep.
thou. That's 19 more thou. Which puts us at what?
963 plus 19.
we go out there and fucking get after it, huh?
It should be at 101. Oh, we're at 102 and a half. I missed it by 1.5.
You miscalculated.
I miscalculated. That's our axle?
Yes.
All right. 1 inch even. Minus 98 in places. See how hard you want this to be on and off when you put the axle through the hole.
I want it to be easy as pie.
Easy as pie.
Don't you?
That means you want 4 to 5 thou clearance. So we're at 902. So we get another 2.5 more, should give us 5. There's 5 to 6 in there, depending on the burrs. Okay, now your big axle will go through it. We don't have to worry about the washer falling out in the middle of dirt when we pull it out at the races. Because now there's no more washer to fall out. That's another reason why I welded the hole up. So I just deal with stupid parts when you're trying to do quick changes. Nothing worse than losing your parts in the middle of the dirt. Okay, well, we're trying to put this thing in here. It's a little tight. So it's a little bit too hard for the racing because we want to be able to yank this crap out easy. So we're going to go hone the external just to make it true and round. Let's put this back in so it scrapes it all up. Where's our 3/4 at? Oh yeah, look, you're falling. All right, let's go work.
All right, so we're just gonna open up the chuck with one hand. I probably did that wrong.
Were you filming that as you did that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty good.
One-handed. What's up?
It's halfway straight.
Do that again? How'd you tell that already without just a blink of
It
an
wasn't
eye?
going like this.
In a blink of an eye.
I said halfway straight. I didn't say it was straight.
Oh, look at that.
So we're going to use this fancy external hone.
What holds that fancy external hone? Your hand? That seems kind of dangerous.
It's controlled right here by me. It's only dangerous if you operate it.
Oh shit, really?
Yes. It does take special fluid there, what's called cutting fluid.
Once again, that's not very OSHA compliant.
Might be.
Get in here for a nice angle.
Okay, when you stick this on there, don't grab yourself. Where that's going in. You're hard on my stone here.
What?
You're hard on my stone. Piece it up. That rough ass edge you got on that. There. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's heating that stone quick.
How can you tell?
I keep moving this lever down right over here as I'm going across the surface. At some point it's going to stabilize and not work fast. See, it has to make this round. It's getting there. It wears away pretty quickly. They're only 40 bucks a piece. So. We didn't say this was a cheap way, but we just said it's a good way.
What about the little bit that's
Feel the difference?
Wow.
So what's the difference between that and down there?
Well, that part can just sit in. Are you gonna do the other side?
Yeah, we gotta do the other side. We did this long enough, we can make this thing true within a half a thou and be round too. But we don't want to make it that good. Okay, so now we got all the sharp edges off everything. Now if you did it with sandpaper, it still wouldn't make it round or true. This makes it straight. Because if it's not round and true and you try to shove it through that bearing, it just has high and lows as you're going through it. So this way here we took off the highs. The lows are still there. Okay, now we're on the axle application here. See how much smoother that is now. Oh, look at it, slides right through.
Look at that. Look at that, we're almost actually through.
You're almost all the way through this. Bearings all the way, huh? Oh, look at that. Now we have to figure out the spacing in this thing here pretty soon. Okay, now what do you got going over here? Oh, so we're going to have a washer on this side.
Push the axle.
It's not lined up.
There it is. Hold on. Okay, give it a push.
I'm pushing my hand. It should go through if you get it straight.
Yeah, well, it looks like it's straight. How you doing?
What's it held up on over there?
No, it's just not 100% straight.
All right.
Give it a tap.
I got this with my one hand. Yeah, I'll give you some action. There, I'll give you some light too.
Ooh, lighting.
Okay, here's our axles in here. Okay, the axle goes all the way through that floor. Then they got this sleeve that goes over that, the adjuster hit against, and then we got a cap washer and a bolt that goes in and holds that in. So the problem with this is you can actually crush this sleeve. So the best way is make this whole thing out of a piece of billet, but just have a shoulder in here. That's the height, a little bit deeper than this so it won't bottom out. And that way it'll be tight and solid, and that eliminates this washer on the outside. That's how you would do it. Or you can take this and just tack this all the way around in here, and that would do the same thing. So the easiest way is just to weld this thing onto here. Makes it one piece. That makes it a little bit stronger too. And this side here needs to be mounted hard on this side also. So when you pull this thing on and off, you don't have all these stupid pieces going back and forth. Now we can shorten this up on this side. You can see the adjuster's way over here. See, this adjuster is a lot further than it needs to be. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and let this recess in that way about another 1/8 of an inch. And then that will give us more engagement on the other side of that sleeve. So we'll modify a little bit. But first we got to figure out our spacing. So right now, we're going to have a spacer on the inside in here.
Let me see something real quick.
I'm going to get this caliper to work in here. Then we got to get this chain line figured out over here.
That's 3/8 pipe.
That's 1/8 pipe.
Caliper's very close. As long as it's not touching here, we can shim it out. So,
All right, so we have to have a spacer right now. Initially it's about that thick. So go up front, grab that 6-inch scale that we had. And let's get this measurement in there, because right now it looks like it's about 7/16 inch.
So I can run this
To a
just
half
like
inch.
that, right? And run big.
I went ahead and put a 3/8 spacer in there. 1-inch axle. Everything looks to be good as of right now. We're not touching. Seam centered caliper. I can shim into accurate placement. And now we deal with this side. Alright, so we put a string on here to check alignment between the front sprocket and rear sprocket. Which one pulled tight is pretty effing straight. Alright, till tomorrow.
Okay, back on our project. Finally got everybody out of here. It's about 9:30 and I'm by myself since the day work done. Okay, basically I got to work on this axle, some axle spacers. I got the bracket more or less done. And I need to cut the sprocket out of here for clearance because these hit on the swing armor here, these bolt heads. So I got to cut this counterbore, these holes down for this to recess in there about 150 thou probably. Should give them enough clearance. So I'll figure it out. He wants me at least to go down to the thickness of the spacer or the shoulder, which is probably 1/8 of an inch. So we got to make sure we get a counterbore as least as big as this shoulder. And the socket actually was smaller than the shoulder, so if the shoulder fits in there, we're fine. So we'll dig ourselves out a counterbore for that. They got these stupid sleeves here that they had going over the axle. This is all they were pushing against the swing arm with, which isn't much. I'd much rather have something big like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make up some new pieces here and incorporate this washer and the sleeve all in one little piece. Eliminate some of this stuff here. It's a bunch of complicated crap you don't need. That's long winded as hell. So here's the thickness I want to go up to. So I'll go ahead and make this here so we have a threaded hole here. And I'll just incorporate this washer into this. And it'll go down a certain depth and lock down. And then I'll stick the axle further through the other way because right now this sticks out way further than we need to for the adjuster. That basically makes the axle longer. So when we're on this side, let's say over here, the spacer instead of barely being on the axle will make it so it's almost all the way on the axle because I'll be having the axle sticking through further. So it's one way of making things a little longer. So I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of these pieces here for both sides and make that up also. And like I said, I just don't like having this little thin area here to hold your swing arm. Hold the axle in the swing arm. This here is a lot thicker and stronger, so that's the direction I want to go. And then what else can we do to this thing to make it fun? If I have a long drill, I can make this thing hollow. That's more work than I got time for right now. So this is the material we're going to use for making our spacers out of. I think that's what we're using. It's a little bit big, but it's all he brought over, so let's do some trimming. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and get some counterbore work going on here. And let's get the sprocket cut first. So I'll get this set up and we'll show you what we're doing. Alright, we got a counterbore up in here we're going to use. So here's one in my hand here. It's piloted, so this here pilot goes down in the hole so it can't cock over on you. So it can't move and go off center. So that holds it square. This one here is the right size. This one here is a little bit smaller than we need. Basically, you got to take these and you got to make sure the OD is big enough to clear your socket or your head of your bolt. But also, you got to look at the flat part. There's a little bit of radius on the edge of this thing in parts of it, but not much on others. And if you look at the counterbore, it has a radius cut into here. So you got to make sure that the straight flat area is at least as big as what this is, if not a little bit bigger. Otherwise, you'll be hitting the radiuses and not on the flat. So it'll loosen up on you or gull up, be hard to tighten up. So this particular one up here has a little bit sharper edge on it, and it's the correct size to work with this. So we're going to go ahead and put this together. Now I got this set for my depth right now. We're against our stop here, and we're all the way down. Like that. And that's just hitting here. Then we go over here, we'll give ourselves a 100th thou of movement. One turn. So there's a 100th thou of drop. So now we're off our stop here by 100. So I go ahead and cut this down until we get to that 100. We should be fine. And I'm also going to put a little dab of oil on this thing. Can of oil here. A little lubricant on here. Make it cut a little bit freer. Let's see what we get. Pretty good aluminum here. Quit cutting. Blow this off. I'd much rather be vacuuming that up than blowing it, but I only got one hand here to hold the camera with. So here is our bolt now. There's our counterbore hole. And now they go together. Drops on down. So that gives us now 100th thou clearance on these heads that we didn't have before. Okay, to me, I don't think that's going to be enough, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a little extra. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over another 25 more. So I'm not sure how much we have on our swing arm, so we're going to make sure we got enough to do it. Takes a lot longer to jig this back up, so we just get it done the first time. This sprocket's plenty thick enough to hold it. Off again. Alright, so that goes in there like that. So you can see a difference in height now between the two here. Between this one and this one. Where'd my straight edge go? So now, you see the difference in height. So quite a bit of clearance. So that's how much more swing arm clearance we're going to have now, 1/8 of an inch. And the sprocket's still plenty of thick, so you can see how much we got left here. We got at least 1/4 inch in there, so plenty of material. I'm not going to really weaken it, and it gives us our swing arm clearance we need it for these bolts. So I'm going to go ahead and do all 5 of these, and then we'll be done with this part for them. Okay, I got the sprocket holes all counterbored. So good to go now. So that's what they look like now. So this part's done. Time to move on to the next problem. Our axle. Okay, almost an hour and a half, 2 hours of work here. So anyway, I made up an axle spacer for the other side. This is the marks he had in there, so that ought to be plenty of width to cut down to fit. And then to replace this shoulder and the sleeve here, these 2 parts, I made this part. So this counterbore is down in. I'm going to have this press fit on the one side. It's got about a 2-3 thou press. We'll push this onto this side, and then we'll Loctite this bolt in here so it won't come out. So this will basically become just one big bolt after we do this. And that'll take care of that. And just put a washer right here like that, and a bolt. It'll look like that. And it's got 400 thou engagement there, so it'll be about that far over the axle. So that's about what it's going to look like. So we'll go ahead and make up another one for the other side. It'll be the same way, except it'll be a slip fit on that side, so you can take it on and off. So that should do that. So I'm going to go ahead and Loctite this on, so it'll let it set up, and get all this buttoned up that way. Okay, we're back here on the bike now. So now you can see what we got made up. So we got this is all Loctite on here and pressed on. Went on there with about 5 tons of press. It's on there pretty good. So this piece is not ever going to come off. It's basically just a big bolt now. So that's what it looks like there. So this has a stop right here, and it also has a stop back here, so you can't move it on the bike. We got our caliper bracket that we worked on. That sits on top of the swing arm here. So with this welded up, we sit flush. And then we have our spacer here that goes to our wheel. And this here's the spacer I made for this side. Now I got to make another one of these collars right here to go on this side. You can see how much I have to cover over that. So it should look the same as this after I'm done. And then all the distance in here I have to measure and see what the hub is down there on the wheel. So it'll give me an overall width between the bearings here, and that'll tell me what I got to cut this down to roughly before I even try to put it together. So next thing I do is make this collar piece over here, and then I'll go from there. So it takes a while to do it, but that's what it looks like when you get done right. Okay, I got the sprocket back on our wheel here. I took a 12-inch scale here, which I can measure to within 10 thou. We stuck it in here and measured across on the bearing face here to the bearing face on the other side, which will give us our distance between our axle spacers here. And then I also got this other color made up right here. So it looks just like the other side. It's slightly thicker, a little bit more meat through here. I could get 3/8 inch thick through there where the bolt would go in, because this bolt presses right on it. So it goes in there like this. So kill that light, see it better. So I want to make sure it was nice and thick so that the this would not collapse on you, because it doesn't bottom out against the shoulder, unlike this side here. So this here has your, we just have our axle sticking through right here. It just sits over that and the bolt holds it down. And this, the axle adjuster's right here, push it against it right here. Just like this one does up over here. So I got these things set so the axle is sitting square in the swing arm. The screws don't match up anywhere, but for now when you push on this flat, everything sits square and the axle is centered square. So that's where I got locked in at. And I'll just equally adjust the front to back. It should be pretty square on the bike, assuming the swing arm is square on the bike. Okay, so I had 6.5 inches from on my wheel down here between the bearings. So you take your scale here and you measure right across and you get a dimension there. You know, stupid light would quit screwing with us. So anyway, it's roughly, it quits blinking. You can see it in there. I can't get accurate. It's about 330, 340, I don't know. Try to look it through the camera. This is hard to tell, but anyway, it's a little bit over 330. So we need to get this to 650, which is our 500. So for right now, we're way down here at 3 something. So let's kill the light. Try to measure this again without the light blinking on and off. Hold it apart with my fingers. Scale there. And get that to come into focus. Still not very flat, but you can see how we're about 320 or so right there, roughly 315. So anyway, I got to cut about roughly 3/16 off of this spacer here. So you can see where he had his spacer marks here. They're different now. So what I don't know is how square this is in the bike. So I'm going to go ahead and put some other spacer in here, mock the wheel up, check my sprocket alignment and my rotor alignment. So before I cut this one off, I want to make sure this one here is not too thick or thin on this side. So that's what we'll check here next. Okay, I got the wheel up in here. Yep, lights on. So we got this side here all the way in over here. So you can see how that's all put in. And over here on this side, we put this in. I get everything up against the stops. And if you look down the swing arm, the distance between the back of the swing arm here and the front up here, the sprocket is where my finger is here. It looks like the wheel's cocked to the right. And so it might be slightly off. And just by eyeballing the wheel, looking down the face of the wheel, it looks like it is to the right also. I think it needs to be like right there where I just moved it to. So this swing arm isn't 100% square on the bike. What a shocker. So it looks like we have right over here. That's what our error is right now on that. So I'm going to go ahead and take that up right there with my nut. And then we'll see how that looks on the bike. Get a better view on it. So just looking down the sprocket line there, you can see how it looks a lot more square to the swing arm now. So when this axle bolts in, it's going to want to twist the swing arm a little bit. Oh well. That means the swing arm isn't 100% square, I guess, or something. You can see how now that we have bolt clearance. Oh, what to do with my scale? Ah, here it is. Right down here, we got bolt clearance in there now. which we didn't have before. Again, we can see it. So we got lots of clearance there. He also had clearance issues with the bolts to rotor, and we got clearance down in there too, or a bracket. Rotor bolts to bracket clearance. That'll be that aluminum bracket over in there. Okay, so a couple things figured out just by eyeballing it. So your eyeballs work the best on most everything. Then we got this piece of string here that we're going to run across our motor sprocket, and we pull it back across our two faces of the sprocket, and that'll also check to see whether it's offset like that, or I mean if it's twisted, and then if it's offset like this. So we'll check that here in a little while. Probably tomorrow because it's getting late. It's already midnight, I think. Okay, right now I took my spacer here, and if you figure we're about 3/16 of an inch too long, then we should need to be using roughly about a 5/8 socket there. Stupid light's fighting with me. So anyway, let's see if I can put this 5/8 spacer up in here. It's kind of hard to get into the measure all this, so I'm going to try to see if I can just put this in off the shelf, and then if it is, I'll cut this one down. Maybe, maybe not. I guess we can use it right the way it is. Okay, I'm going to try that right now next, and we'll get back. Okay, I got my axle back up in here. So I got the spacer I had over here before, and then I got the 5/8 one I put in here. And now when you put the scale across here, it pretty much is right on 6.5 inches. Let's get this where I might be able to see it. The camera doesn't want to focus on what I want to focus on. There we go. And say we're almost done 6.5 on the money. We might be a little bit wide, but pretty close. So even though he said that none of these spacers in my package work, that one works. So this custom made one way too big. So instead of cutting one down, I'll just use this one here. So now I'm actually going to try to put the wheel in here and see if it'll fit in here. It's going to be kind of tricky because the spacers have to be inside the hub as you slide it all through. This will be a pain in the ass to do with the track. But that's what happens when you make these wheels and you recess the damn bearings up inside of here like that. They need to be flush so the spacers can just slip in. So, nobody makes stuff correctly as usual. Okay, so we're going to try that and then we'll get back. Okay, I got the wheel back up in here. And as I thought, that spacer works in there pretty nicely. See it down in there. Nice slip-in fit, no heavy drag, no looseness. Just about perfect. So here's if we had any extra free play, this here would be loose. This caliper bracket here I'm wiggling on. This one here, you can see there's almost no clearance in any of this stuff. It's not binding either, so it's within our 30 thou allowable tolerances pretty easy. So everything slips in real nice and easy. Don't have any binding on our axle because we went ahead and changed everything. So even though I can pull all that stuff out, the spacer don't drop down because it's just lightly pushing on it. So, that's how that goes. So we got our collar and stuff here. Still got to make bearings for here yet too, our spacers. So here's the string in our way. So here's the collar, it goes right over that. So, whoop. Now the distance, this is sticking out. Let's see, is that all the way in? That's all the way in. So it looks like it's a little bit less than I thought it was going to be. I was shooting right at 400. About 425, I thought that's what I measured before, and like right now it looks like we're closer to 3/8. We're just under 400. So there you go, it's just under 400. And I've got the shoulder in here cut down to 475. So we got over 1/16 of an inch clearance. So that we know that this collar will not bottom out on this axle. It'll always be tightened up on the axle. Just because a bolt or nut is tight does not mean an axle is tight. A lot of bikes come with loose axles. The nuts are jammed under threads or something else is tight, but the axle itself is spinning in the frame. Okay, so that goes right like that. I'll go grab my 2 wrenches and I'll tighten this up. And then we start checking our alignment of everything else. Here's my wrenches. Thought I brought them with me. It's fun to do by yourself. There we go. Not quite. That's what they make hammers for. Okay. Tight, tight. The axle's semi-tight. And you notice how this is loosening up. So that's that twist I was talking about. Because the axle's trying to go, the swing arm's trying to make it go square to itself and not necessarily where I want the wheel to be. So we're going to check to see our alignment on our wheel. But it looks like we're getting closer than it was. But right now we got slight error in there. So we'll play around this a little bit. Anyway, next thing we gotta do is do our string test. So that is, you wrap it around the sprocket up over here, like this. You have to tie it up over here if you're by yourself. So you pretty much run it across the sprocket, and you look at the gap as you hit the sprocket and start bending like that, you're too far. And when you're pulling this taunt, which means put about 10-15 pounds of pull on it, it's going to be dead straight. And you can come over here on this side and just go across like this until it touches, and you can see where things are at. So right now the string is up there in the front, and you can see how the sprocket is pretty close. It's hard to do here with a bit there. I'm trying to get it where you can see it. So it's hard to do without pressure. See, I got to put pressure on it a little bit. But so I might be a little bit clearanced up in here. So this here looks like this is supposed to be coming back like it is. So it's a little bit closer than it was. But anyway, that's how you check your string method. So we'll hook this up a little better so we can show it better, and hopefully we'll be able to show it. So usually I do is I loop it around the stud here, and you can see how I got it hooked up on the back side, come across the tooth, come across this face. This bolt's be behind the sprocket, so we're good. And you get a nice shot from here to here. And we should come up with a real nice measurement what we got. So we gotta make sure this motor's on here tight. Looks like some of the stuff isn't tightened up yet, so gotta get the motor in the frame square. Check all the things. All right, that's it for now. Okay, I'm back on this. Why go home when you get some work done? Okay, I put a loop in this here, so you can see the loop in that. Come up on the back side of our sprocket. It's in gear right now, so the sprocket's not moving. Okay. So we got a good strong pull. I can yank on this pretty good. So you go ahead and pull this back. So if you're looking there, you can see where the, I don't know if I can get that where you can see in there or not. There we go. Too low. Yep, that didn't work for you. Okay, my sprocket's here. You can see I'm hitting on a nut, so I'm a tooth off. So I need to move this up one tooth. Okay, so I moved it up one tooth. Now we're above our nut. So now we're above the nut. We're not going to hit that. And that's with the string all the way down here. So even if I go all the way down to here, you can see I clear the nut. Okay, now get back up in there again. So if you see, you go across until you hit the sprocket. You see how it bends it? So you pull it out until you see that move on the front. And then when it just stops, you stop. And you look over here at your rear sprocket. And you look at your chain line there. So I'm actually out a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to drop this down onto the sprocket so we can see where we're at. And we'll focus back up in here again. So we're somewhere about right there. If you look back here, you can see the gap between the sprockets. See the space right there? And it looks like the back of the sprocket's got more of a gap than the front of the sprocket. So we need to move the wheel to the left a little bit. Back up here, and you can see I'm bent right now. So I'll come back and do that again. So it's about like right here. So you can see we got over 1/16 offset up there in the front, and we're a good over 1/8 inch in the back here. So that means this whole wheel assembly here needs to come this way. Oh, probably 50 to 75 thou, pretty easy. I bet you it's going to wind up being almost 100 thou. We're going to move this thing over. And we'll have to go back on this side and put a spacer over here. And if the caliper gets too far in, we'll have to put some shims up in there in the bracket, which shouldn't be a problem. So this spacer needs to be made thinner, and this one over here needs to be made thicker down inside. The one down in there, the chroming up inside and in there. And that will move this whole wheel over. And it looks like on the, looking down the tube, you can see how it looks like the wheel's offset a little bit anyway. So, all right, so he had this all set up a little bit, but obviously the numbers he came up with are wrong. So anyway, that's how you use a piece of string. Lasers work too, but the problem with lasers are the batteries go bad. That's the problem he has with his laser. His battery's dead. One thing about a string, you never have a bad battery. It always works. Even if it's wet, covered in oil. Not that a Harley would ever be wet or covered with oil. Okay, so that's where we're out there. I'll have to play around these spacers tomorrow. I know I got to thin this side up and make that one thicker over there. So I'll have to start making some spacers, I guess. So anyway, that's it for tonight. We're done.